let's talk about how we do our thing.
Let's do it.
Because here's my day yesterday. I was reconsidering my career choices. I was thinking, all right, this is going to be my 65th year.
Yep.
In April, I will turn the dreaded or heralded 65.
Piece of cake, nothing to it.
Maybe not too late to switch careers after
you may have to.
I go on the air and do this whole thing about how it's wrong to politicize the Potomac crash and the Democrats are demonic and isn't that awful? And then I even had to throw in a little caveat right before I threw it to President Trump.
Of course, because he's on live.
He's on live. He's coming up. And before he came on live, I thought it would be smart. I made the decision that it would be a good call to say, look, even some of us are making the same mistake. There are some people who are bringing up DEI even before the bodies are pulled out of the river. And then we go live to Donald Trump, and of course,
how many seconds did it take?
About a half a minute. I mean, he starts out moment of silence, which was nice, and then he says, "Let's be unified," which was great, and then he dives headfirst into Pete Buttigieg destroying the FAA and the DEI. We got armless dwarves apparently up in the control tower, which I didn't have on my bingo card. Did you know that?
Armless dwarves. I think some people were armless and some people were dwarves. There was a variety of impediments that might have been difficult to make you an air traffic controller.
Well, I mean, but I looked this up. Charlie Kirk pointed this out yesterday, and it gave me pause. He said, look, think about, you're in the Biden administration, you wake up one morning, and you say, we don't have enough dwarfs or people without limbs,
I know.
Or we have deaf people or blind people who want to be in the air traffic controller tower. Now, first of all, pardon me, how are you blind and deaf and you're an air traffic controller?
I don't know.
How does that even work?
Correct.
I guess you could do it without your arms. And if you're a dwarf, I guess you could prop them up on a phone book or something and give them a milk crate. I mean, give them a stool. But I mean, that's what you're looking for? Yeah. And look, and Trump's point is, I want the best people for the job who will keep the sky safe. Now, let me go back and
it's a superb point. And as I sometimes will need to do, and we do this for each other, let me give you 100% cover on this, because your instincts were right. We had just blistered people who went political in the wake of the crash for going after Trump. You know, this idiot who said, man, I wish we had a real Secretary of Defense because we need answers. And we said, let's not be political. That's ugly. And being the gracious soul that you are, you said, let's not, commit the similar sin on our side. And I would suggest to you that it's not what he was doing at all. And I think we're going to agree on this, that while there may not be anything necessarily in that air traffic control tower or any of those cockpits that necessarily speak to DEI, it is always a good idea, especially after situations like this, to examine safety. And anything that makes us safer is good. Anything that stands in the way of safety is bad. And DEI and quotas and cherry picking and weird outreach makes us less safe. President was 100% right.
Well, it has to do with the timing. Of course he's right, and it's entirely correct. But here's I'm going to give myself cover. Let me tell you why, I'm absolutely going to own what I said about the timing, but I'm also going to defend President Trump. Look, who am I to tell this guy what the right timing is going to be? I'm just a big mouth with a talk show. This is a guy, I defy you to find any individual in the history of mankind who could have withstood what he withstood. I got an email from a guy, nice guy, and I got a lot of feedback on this saying, Mike, I hope you call Trump out for this. The timing was terrible. This is what he does wrong. This is his fatal flaw, they say. This is his weakness.
It's killed him. Clearly, obviously kept him from winning again.
Well, that's my point. What they think is his weakness, Mark, is his strength.
Often so.
What they think is his, brusque, tacky, bad timing and all. What they don't get is this guy was shot. This guy was convicted 34 counts. This guy, they tried to bankrupt him. Nobody would have gone through that and got elected to president twice except him. So you know what? And incidentally, they would have never given him any grace if he would have just been, kumbaya, hunky-dory.
No,
they wouldn't have said, good for him. They'd look for the next thing to attack him for. And you know what? He knows that, Mark. And so he gives two craps. He gives two craps. He wants to rail against DEI, then you know what? He's going to do it. Not my favorite thing to do it yesterday when the bodies aren't out of the river. I wouldn't have done it, but I'm not him. Nobody shot me.
I didn't mind at all. And I know these are matters of pretty small degree, but I really, really didn't. I found and I heard a bunch of people say, how must these families feel, while they're still grieving loved ones? And here's Trump railing at prior administrations for having cast too broad a net for people who maybe shouldn't be. First of all, I think that if you just had a loved one die in the icy Potomac, Trump's news conference is not front of mind for you.
It's the last thing you're worried about.
It just doesn't matter. This was the province of the haters. And I will tell you, the day after we lose people, the day after people die, is a magnificent time to focus on the safety of our system. And if there are things in past policy that have made our system less safe, you bet that's the time to bring it up in that way that only he uniquely can do.
Let's look factually at what Pete Buttigieg, the then Secretary of Transportation, did. He set a hiring goal, and I'm reading this right from the Transportation Department's own information. They set a hiring goal of 3% per fiscal year for individuals with targeted parentheses severe disabilities. Now here's the list. The targeted disabilities are those disabilities that the federal government, as a matter of policy, has identified for special emphasis in recruitment and hiring. Now let me take a moment and share with you the list of those targeted disabilities. This is from the government site. This is not fake news. Hearing, parentheses, total deafness in both ears. Vision, parentheses, blind. Missing extremities, partial paralysis, complete paralysis, epilepsy, severe intellectual disability, psychiatric disability, and yes, indeed, dwarfism.
There you
are. Like Charlie Kirk said, imagine waking up and thinking, folks, I feel like we don't have enough psychotic or mentally handicapped air traffic controllers. This was the Biden Department of Transportation. You know what the miracle is? That we don't have more Potomac crashes on a regular basis. I mean, we're lucky, and look, they've been warning about near misses for a long time. A year ago, the Washington Times did a whole big article about how turning people away because they're white from the air traffic control system is going to jeopardize safety. Well, look at what happened. Now, here's the bottom line, though, but here's the caveat that we all probably have to acknowledge. None of this may have anything to do with what happened night before last.
Right, correct. It may not be specific to this, but the subject is still completely germane and completely proper.
Right. Look, Trump is angry. It's normal. 67 people dead, children. These stories are so heart-wrenching.
I watched Nancy Kerrigan in tears at the skating facility for these future Olympians.
With their little kids and beautiful stories, and the guy that couldn't get on the plane because his dog was too big. Imagine his survivor's guilt for the rest of his life. And so, look, it is fair to say that these dreadful DEI policies are awful for the American people. And look, I don't know what the right time is to talk about it, but I'm not going to.
Any time is fine.
Okay,
There's
all
no
right.
I'll
go with that.
Unburden yourself. It's fine.
I'll go with that. Now, final minute.
Go ahead.
Let's talk about the hearings yesterday, because I got to get this off my chest. I was so riveted by watching Democrats. They were hysterical. Elizabeth Warren, Adam Schiff was shrieking. He sounded like a soprano from the Mormon Tabernacle Choir. He's this high, shrilly voice. Turn around and look at the What the hell is wrong with these? They're nuts, Mark. And Chris DeGaulle, I was listening to him a little bit before I turned your show on at 7. Chris had such a great point to all the Democrats and even some Republicans. If you exhibit any skepticism about any vaccine,
You're anti-man.
You're to be put into a mental institution.
That's it. That's where the bar is set.
You're a nut. You're a conspiracy theorist. Put a tinfoil hat on you. Well, guess what? You're allowed to be skeptical about anything you want to be skeptical about. And Susan Collins yesterday. Oh, people would be in a classroom with an unvaccinated child, which would lead to herd immunity. She's reciting all the crap that's been debunked.
Correct.
It's all been debunked. So you know what?
Can I give you a show? 30 seconds. Can I give you a show today? Because I'm going to give myself one in the following way. Kash Patel, fantastic, by the way. Tulsi Gabbard is great too. I'm going to ask you the Tulsi Gabbard question. Edward Snowden, is he a traitor? Yes or no?
And she doesn't. She's not going to take the bait, and I'm not either.
I'll take it. Yes.
Okay.
100% traitor.
That's what Adam Schiff wants you to say.
Well, no, it's not. It's true.
But it's what Adam Schiff wants you to say.
I don't care.
I know, but she does. She's not going to give him what he wants, and I'm glad she answered it the way she did.
She has what you might call a more nuanced view. I understand that nuance, and here's what we'll talk about a little bit, and feel free to take this no charge. If you break the laws of the United States and surrender some of our secrets, does it become heroic if it's stuff that the country should not be doing? Therein lies the question.
It's a great topic, but I also love the way she answered it. I love what Kash Patel said. Look, if you look at that hearing yesterday, these senators, these miserable, decrepit senators, they clearly admitted they didn't want to hear his answers.
Of course.
I mean, he would start to answer, they'd shut him down. In fact, at one point, one of the senators said, I don't want to hear your answer. You can give me your answer in writing. This is my time. So they're not interested. This isn't advice and consent.
It's a TV show.
It's performative art. It's performance art. That's all it is. Guess what? Conform them all. And if they don't, any Republican who doesn't, get primary.
Primary time.
Get your butt primaried. Yep. They're going to go after you. John Cornyn. Hey, John Cornyn, you listening? Hey, Tom Tillis, you paying attention? You're going to get primaried. You better do the right thing here.
I think Cornyn and Tillis will both be good soldiers. Susan Collins and Murkowski, I just don't know. All right, man, have a fantastic show and a great weekend. I love you.
I love you. Have a great weekend. See you Monday.